from somewhere. Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
Minister of Information.
Next question. Minister.
Did you wake me up?
Minister.
Did you wake me up?
Minister.
Why did you wake me up?
The minister. Wake up.
Minister of Information. All I'm offering is the truth.
The minister.
The minister's.
I want the truth.
The minister.
You can't handle the truth.
M.O.I.
Minister.
Without knowledge of self.
Minister of Information. M.O.I.
Who taught you to hate yourself?
1,000 ministers.
M.O.I. podcast.
Peace and light, everybody. It's me, your boy. The Minister of Information. Let's get it. Let's get into it. Man, listen. Today about to be crazy. We're about to get into this legal status, talk about some treaties, the treaty protection, etc. So all of you who, you know what I'm saying, know how I rock, go ahead and grab your pens and your pad. Your pencils and your paper. Islam. The information is about to be bestowed upon you tonight. It'll behoove you to take notes. Please get to your pens and your papers if you can right now, family. Go pull them out. Get the kids out the way. Matter of fact, set the children down. They can get their pens and paper too. They get their after school lesson. Islam. Shouts out to everybody checking in with your boy, the Minister of Information. Be sure, if you're not already, to subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell. Share it. I can't say that enough. Please share. Shouts out to Facebook and YouTube in here popping, man. It's gonna be good tonight, y'all. Well, listen. Without further ado, I want to introduce some brothers that are waiting backstage right now, man. And these brothers are authenticated in their works. I can stand beside them and say these brothers do the work. They do the studying. They do the research. And they're not only talking about it. One of these brothers is an author. Anytime you take time to write down the information and store it for later usage, you have all due respect. So without further ado, the good brother Abdullah Bey. Peace and love, brother. Can you hear me?
Peace and love. It's did Shimon Mike get on? Mike?
Yeah. I'm about to add Mike right now. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Is Shim on?
Peace and love. Brother Mike, peace and love. How you doing?
Peace and love, brother. I'm well. Thank you.
No, I don't see the other brother populating yet. Maybe we can circle back and get him on here in a minute, or just text him and let him know.
Put your video on, Mike.
Give me a moment.
Mike said, "I'm chilling, man. I was in the house chilling, man. Put your robes on." All right.
I sent it to his email and.
Okay, it's all good. So listen, man. Tonight we're gonna get into some good stuff. Let's tell the good people we're talking about tonight. Because let me tell you, first of all, let me take it back. I was sitting here the other night, and I got a lecture I do. One of them called "Get Out of Your Cotton Picking Mind." It's one of the lectures I do. Another lecture is "The Invention of People," and I
Yes.
think I had did the Invention of People joint a couple of nights ago on my YouTube, and this subject in my mind came up. Like, I don't think our people understand the legal remedy. They don't understand the historical documentations that have taken place. They don't understand real estate when it comes to property and how this vast estate was acquired through other means. So I definitely want to get into these treaties, because treaties are contracts, whether you guys know it or not, and just really dive in tonight, man. So, brother Abdullah, you want to start us off and give us some information, tell us who you are, and where we can find this
Yes.
information at.
Yeah, I'm Abdullah Il Talimosi Bey. I am editor or author of Moors and Masonry. A lot of people, Moors and Masonry, also Masonic Competence Square, The Connection of Timekeeping Measurement, and a few other books. So we're gonna be delving into Moors and Masonry a little bit when we get into the treaties, as I have about a list of over 150 treaties in Moors and Masonry Part One. Moors and Masonry Part Two will be coming your way soon. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. This is a very poignant topic. We're going to make this connection here with legal status and treaty protection. We're going to look at the positive legal status as well as the negative legal status of our people, and how to rectify the negative legal status of our people in the context of government structure, and as well as treaty, and how that will unfold or bring the umbrella and begin the initiation or bring the umbrella of the treaty protection, and also will enable us to unite into government structure, which is our inherent divine right and power. You hear me?
My bad, y'all. All right, there we go. My bad. My bad. I was on mute. All right, brother Mike, enlighten us on this information. Well, give us an intro we can look forward to this evening from you.
No, okay. Yeah, peace, love, shalom to everyone listening. I was invited here by Professor Abdullah. Um, in a nutshell, I was pretty much a student that came on board a little over a year ago. I attended the Academy of Providence, and I just took the courses. Obviously, I had an interest. I was digging deep. My background and stuff was just really in law, and just really, really trying to, get an understanding of that and how it pretty much compares to, what we were governed under, which is statute and codified law. So once I, divulged into law, I started comparing and contrasting the two, and then I realized that, certain inequities, certain, certain disparities, certain, pretty much just unequalness that was pretty much, running rampant amongst the, Moorish community, low-income communities and stuff, and really getting to the bottom of why we in this debacle to begin with. So obviously, just like anything, when you keep digging and you keep digging deeper, it's like that saying goes, you want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yep.
That's how I pretty much got led to different circles and to different people, and ultimately to Professor and Shem Bey. And the rest is history. I'm still present.
Islam. Cool. So listen. What I first want to see if we can dive. I don't know if I'm overstepping or going too fast, but I just want to talk about law. What is law? Because most people, and I make this point, most people don't understand the simplicity, or should be simple, between the difference between unlawful and illegal. So even the term itself, when it comes to law, what is law and what is colorable law, and how the two different, or how are they related? We're dealing with regular law and colorable law, or was colorable law codified and made up for a different group of people?
All right. Well, let's go into the question is, what is law? All right, and that is a broad question. And the key is, what is law? Law begins with self. The looking at our customs, our rituals, our ceremonies, our holidays, how we interchange. You're looking at a volume of decisions, you know, going back several thousand years. So we don't, so it's not, because we've got to give people, want to give people a proper foundational perspective on what law is. It actually begins with the people. You have what's called divine law.
There we go. Come on, let's talk
All
about
right.
it.
So I get, yeah. So you have, when you're talking about divine law, you're talking about the unseen world, the invisible world,
Mm.
the geometry, the compass of square, the G in the center of the compass of square represents geometry. Geometry is the science or math that allows us to unlock the keys to unseen world. Because in the unseen world, there is a geometrical code that is expressed in the visible or seen world.
Yeah.
So we begin to unlock. So there's a harmonic connection to the unseen world and the visible world. So when you see leaves and seashells and acorns, and there's flowers in the human form, what you're seeing is you're seeing the expression and geometrical form of the unseen world that's being unfolded to the seen or visible world.
Mm.
With that observation, our ancestors understood that that was the universal order to which to set civilization as a foundation. So looking at what is law, it begins with understanding the harmony, order, and balance of the universe, and how you take that knowledge and observation of the unseen world and see how it unfolds and manifested to the seen world, and you develop written codes in order to maintain the balance, the scales, maintain the mayat, the scales of mayat, of the balance of the unseen world and the seen world. The G and the G and the compass and the square are reminders or center points to what I'm talking about. So when you say what is law, now attorneys don't learn this, but this would be class 101. This will be class, what I'm saying now is class in any law school in the world, any law school in the world. This is class 101 in any law school, any law anywhere. This is class 101. This is because you're talking about in United Nations, you see pictures, artwork. You see artwork that is expressing what I'm talking about. It's not spoken in words. The ambassadors know it. So they express the unseen world through artwork in the United Nations. It's not spoken, but it's expressed. This is the foundation. Without this knowledge, you have no civilization. There's no law without this, because this is the foundation. The written law must be in harmony or in balance to the unseen world. To maintain civilization in harmony and balance, this knowledge must be maintained. And it actually has been maintained in the layout of cities. in the measurement of the human form, human body, in seashells, and what you see around you. This is not known to the masses. This is not taught in law schools. But as I said, this should be the foundation. That's what you're talking about. How we got. We have the flower of life. The flower of life. When you see the flower of life, you see everything. It's manifested from that flower of life. Every geometrical form, it's manifested from that flower of life. So the flower of life being a universal ancient symbol of the expression on geometrical form of the unseen world to the seen world. This knowledge that I'm expressing is very important. And that Masonic compass, that compass is square, like that bold compass, and plummet square with the G in the middle. That is what that express. But I'm saying this again, it is not spoken in the public. It is expressed through symbolism. But there are those who know this. It's not known by the masses. But you need this knowledge to reset order in our communities. There you go, the all-seeing eye. So you have the unseen world peeking out. Peeking out. The divine world peeking out. So this is because the question is, what is law?
What is law? Now,
And this should be. Let me just finish this point.
mhm.
The answer I gave you should be given. This answer should be answered. Your question should be answered by everyone in the entire world. And if I go to Japan and ask the question, what is law? And I hear something else, there's a problem. If I go to England and you ask what is law, and I don't hear, if they don't start with this, that's a problem. Because that's the foundation. The question is, what is law? I'm answering the question.
Right. No, and that's something that I always say too, brother. I always say that this is what I say. I say there's three principal laws that we all to be abiding by, and most of the times, so-called Negro, blacks, and coloreds who are outside of this law, are what they call outlaws. And those three laws are universal law, natural law, and canon law. Those three laws, we must circumscribe our actions and stay in due bounds of those three laws, or we're outside of those jurisdiction laws, right? And then that's when you fall to less than being a man, because you honor not the laws that were given, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this is something that Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. He said that every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honor not their mother and their father. And the same thing with the so-called Negroes in America. We have strayed after the gods of Europe, to which we know nothing about. Now, why do I bring up the God principle? Because you mentioned the Masonic uh, principle of law, and the G, as taught, stands for geometry, but it also stands for deity or God, who they call the goat, who is the great architect of the universe. And the architect design of the universe is the flower of life, or what they call Metatron's cube, or the Merkaba, which then relates back to the Ka, right? And the Ba, the Ka being the spirit or the breath that was put inside of the Ba, and it became a living Merkaba. Well, this Merkaba resonated at such a high frequencies, right? It was able to, you see a prism around it. I can pull up in a second. You see a prism around it. It was a diamond in a square. And these attributes equated to what was called 360 degrees or 720 degrees, right? And this is the astro level, because you mentioned earlier about these laws coming down from the soul plane, right? So this is the level of information that we must attain is through law. And this is why I later understood in my travels with MST of A when it said that um, dealing with Negroes, blacks, and coloreds, that these were titles given to you by slaveholders in 1776, and it lasted to about 1865. And I had to come into understanding of these titles. I said, why do they call it a title? And once I began to question why do they call it a title, I said, why do they call it a certificate? and I begin to deal with these words. This is my intro to law, to what we call civil law now. And then I began to understand the difference between civil law, right, and domestic law and these laws. But I also noticed that all these laws were given down through courts, and these courts mostly operated on Mondays and Tuesdays. And I begin to see the trajectory of law above. Mars is Tuesday. This is when most things are handled. Decisions are made on Tuesdays. Wednesday, most business are handled. On Thursdays, business is coming to a close. And on Friday, you seal the deal going into Saturday, the Sabbath. So I began to understand that these Europeans are operating on higher law principles, and they're imposing these laws down as above it is below. It is us who are the outlaws, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. So when you were saying that that's the foundation, it is the foundation. That is the ground floor. That is the ground floor of King Solomon's temple. Brother Mike, anything you want to add to it?
I would just piggyback off what Professor and as well as yourself mentioned. Law is, first thing you got to do is look at self. Like when you look at the human body, one would have to look at the human body and say to yourself, okay, well, in order for one to rest, eat, drink, the body has to break down certain things. You look at your molecular uptake, your DNA, all that there's a process that entails to now, keep a person, to keep a person sustaining. Your heart has to beat, your blood has to flow, it's a certain measurement within your body, your heat, etc. All these things, there's a deep correlation. And when you look at the self, as they say, as saying as so above, as say this, as so below, as within, as so without. What you think, your mind makes things real. What you create in the brain pretty much dictates what's going to be your output. So all that is all relative and all that's fundamental. We wasn't taught these things, going through obviously, the Department of Education and, the Rockefeller education, all that stuff we was disconnected from our cultures and traditions, as Professor alluded to. So once you get this disconnected from, from law, you pretty much you're desolate. You're vulnerable, and that's pretty much the state that we have been put in. And it's very imperative that we get our people back to that, to do again what Professor had mentioned, to bring perfect peace and harmony back on planet Earth.
Islam.
Yeah.
Islam.
So right. So it's a travesty to say the least, what was done to us. But as when you get into the colorable law and stuff like that, you can see the purpose of it. Once you address the issue of what law really is and what's the necessity of it. Well, survival primarily and sustenance. That's what keeps us. That's what, number one. Governments are run off that, like you mentioned.
Right.
You look at the days of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Mars, and Mercury, Wednesday. With these things
Islam.
all. Right. These things all have a direct connection, to pretty much run civilizations. And once a group of, go ahead.
I mean, cut your wisdom, but what I wanted to add value to was going back, because now I want to get into the subject matter, because we talked about universal law at length. Now let's talk about some things that the audience may can relate to a little bit more. And I want to ask this question, dealing with colorable law. What is colorable law, and who does colorable law apply to?
All right. I want to put this. I want to put colorable and color of law in a broader category, because I want to tie it to intercatera divina. We have to broaden people's mind. We have to broaden.
I'm way ahead of you. I'm ready. Let's go.
Right. Now, let's first define it. So we first define color. Let me give you the etymology of the word.
Come on.
Colere, coler, C-O-L-E-R, Latin, to hide and to conceal. To hide, to conceal color. All right. We've been conditioned We've been indoctrinated to falsely think that color and complexion are interchangeable. That is constructive. That's
Okay.
a constructive meaning. What color is this crayon? That's a constructive use. That is semantic.
Oh,
That is a semantical sense. That's not the etymology. So when it says, well, color, all right, well, you say he's coloring the situation, which means he's being deceptive. All right, he's being deceptive. That's proper. That's a proper use. All right. Um, Michael is very colorful, and that people we mean in a semantical sense that he is very outgoing, but that is actually a connotative meaning, because to say that colorful means outgoing, that's connotative sense. You know, colorful has nothing to do with outgoing, because as I said before, the etymology of the word colere, which means to hide or conceal. So if Mike is colorful, that means he's shy. Etymologically speaking, etymologically speaking,
Islam.
I said etymologically speaking. If I said Mike is colorful, etymologically speaking, I am saying Mike is shy. Connotatively speaking, you know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
Connotatively speaking, if I say Mike is colorful, I am connotatively, in that sense, saying he is outgoing. So we have to understand true meaning and meaning.
Okay.
True meaning, we're looking at etymology. Meaning, we're looking at semantics. So the legal meaning of the word color is in line with the etymological meaning. To hide, to conceal, to assimilacum, a pretense. That distinguished from that which is real. Distinguished from that which is real. An artifice. Live plant, artificial plant. So an artificial plant is color. You would associate the word color to an artificial plant. This not real, fake, artificial.
Now, hold on.
Yes.
Let me read for the people to add value to what the brother's saying right now. Right. This is colorable law. In the United States, the term color of law denotes mere semblance of legal right, the pretense or appearance of rights. Hence, an action done under the color of law adjusts color, the law to the circumstance, yet said was apparently legal action contrivance in law under color of authority is a legal phrase used in North America indicating that a person is claiming or implying the act. Y'all know what acting is. The act they are committing are related to legitimized by his or her role as a agent of governmental power. Now, what I just read to you was so-called Negroes, Black people, African Americans, etc., colorable people. You have the mere semblance of legal right. It denotes not connotation, denotation. It means right what it is. It denotes a mere semblance, a resemblance of legal rights, a pretend of legal rights that you have, Black people, the pretense of appearance or of rights. Now let's go to the authorities who police you. Under the colorable authority, that's who they are, the agencies, is a legal, not lawful. Legal and lawful are not the same. It's a legal phrase used in North America only, indicating that a person, this is the constable's on patrol, you call cops, not the sheriffs, it's something different. Not the sheriffs, not talking about the sheriff, it's something different. They patrol the county. County means conquered land. We're talking about the agents inside of the city. This is a different municipality we're talking about. And we're going to get into all this stuff, what a municipality is and what it isn't. Okay? So please continue, brother.
Yes, like I said, I want to take the word color in its broader perspective, though. You know, I don't want to narrow it. I don't want to narrow it to United States or Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. I want to go before North Carolina. I want to go before South Carolina. I want to go before Florida. Before they exist. All right. I don't want to narrow it. You know, we gotta talk conquest. All right. I want to talk color in the context of European conquest of our Moorish land. Because it starts there. Let's go to where it starts.
All right.
Because you're talking about a people. You're talking about a status of a people that, like, they classified. Or you talking about denationalization, a mass denationalization of a people. So we got to go back to 1563. So let's talk 1563. I'm talking color. But we gotta talk in the context of European conquest.
Okay. Let's get to it. Let's
So
get to it.
I'll go before 1563. Let me lead up to that.
Okay, let's go.
Some of the stuff I did on Friday on the show. Let's talk about the Inquisition, the Crusades against the Moors. All right, prior to the Crusades against the Moors, from 700, the Umayyad dynasty. The Umayyad dynasty reigned for about 200 years in Phoenicia, modern day Europe. You had the Almohad dynasty. These are Moorish dynasties. And to explain, a dynasty is the length or period of a house, a ruling house. So you're looking at within that dynastic period of 200 years, you had various emirs and caliphs, and emirates and caliphates were set up, and then you have then that dynasty was overtaken. The Umayyad dynasty was overtaken by the Almohad dynasty. So we're gonna talk about the various Moorish dynasties that ruled Phoenicia going from 711 to 1492. Now, what happened? What happened to the Moorish Empire in Europe? There's a 3-volume book written by S.P. Scott entitled The Moorish Empire in Europe. Notice the title, The Moorish Empire in Europe. That's a very important title there. So you're looking at an empire, because you're talking about dynastic powers, caliphates, and emirats that had been established through various dynastic powers over the period of 800 years. Now, what occurred? Let's bring up the night orders now. You have the Crusades against the Moors from 1095 to 1235. So these Aragon and Castile and France and Germany and England and Sweden, the Dutch Republic and other European powers established night orders to fight against the Moors. They put their funding and they put their collective resources to launch crusades against us. So you had various night orders that were established: the Knights of Calatrava, the Knights of St. John the Hospitaller, Knights Templar, the Order of Christ later on in the early 1500s, the Knights of St. Stephen's, Knights of Rose, Knights of Malta. And today these night orders these are military. You can't ignore. You cannot dismiss why they were established. You can't say, well, that had nothing to do with, well, what you're saying you're Knights Templar. Do you know the history? You say you're Order of Christ. You say you're Knights of St. John the Hospitaller. Well, today we course, they're not functioning as military orders. Of course not. They're not functioning as military orders today. But that's the foundation. They were established as military orders to fight against the Moors. That was the whole purpose. They were not established as military orders. They were established as military orders to fight against us. That was their purpose. Because that they launched the Crusades from 1095 to 1235. So Peninsula, Cordoba, Castile, Seville, and a host of other Moorish, where we had Moorish kingdoms set up and controlled. We had lost all but one at 1235. We were able to maintain Granada, continue from 1235 up until November 25th, 1491. What is November 25th, 1491? That is the Treaty of Granada. Abu Muhammad, and they distort his name as Boladel. He's Abu Muhammad. He's the last Moorish caliph to rule in modern day Europe. That ended. That's a treaty that surrendered or transferred sovereignty into Aragon and Castile, or that united. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand married in November 1469. That merged their kingdoms, and they merged their kingdoms to defeat, the last stronghold, or to bring down the Moorish Empire. So the Moorish Empire was brought down as far as controlling Europe. We still maintain control on sea. So the Moorish Empire, as far as land control, the Moorish Empire still continued and controlled the Mediterranean and Atlantic during the 15, 16, 1700s. But as far as control of Europe, that ended. So November 25th, 1491 is a pivotal year, because that is the treaty that transferred sovereignty to the hands of Spain under Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. Now, Thanksgiving was celebrated, which is actually the harvest celebration, and it was actually celebrated in October. Abraham Lincoln, through a presidential proclamation, declared that Thanksgiving we celebrated in November, the third Thursday. Why? Because the third Thursday in November will always be close to November 25th. November 25th, 1491. That is a very key date, a pivotal point in modern world history. That's a pivotal point in modern world history, because that ended Moorish rule in Europe. Let me continue. Enter Catera Divina. So in January 1492 was when the Treaty of Granada was put into effect. 14 months later, Pope Alexander VI issued the papal bull of Inter Catera Divina, March 4th, 1493, authorizing Spain and Portugal to colonize North, Central, South America. That bull is in effect today. In international law, is called discovery. In the schools, it's called Christopher Columbus discovered America. But it's not Christopher Columbus discovered America. It's Inter Catera Divina, March 4th, 1493, Pope Alexander VI authorizing Spain and Portugal to colonize this vast part of Moorish land, North, Central, South America. In international law, it's called discovery. We have to address this. So when you're talking about color, or dealing with the mass denationalization of a people, you must couple it with conquest. It cannot be talked about in a vacuum. It must be talked about in conquest. So in order to denationalize a people and to subjugate them, you have to bring their state to their knees. You have to dismember the Moroccan Empire. You cannot Spain, Portugal, France, the Dutch Republic, the Netherlands, Sweden could not subjugate us and put us under mass denationalization until they brought the Moroccan Empire to her knees. Bringing the Moroccan Empire to her knees in international law is called a dismemberment of a state, or collapse, or disintegration. An extinction, collapse, dismemberment, or disintegration of a state. So that's just very key. We must talk about color in the context of conquest, because other than that, it's going to be distorted, because you got to connect it. You got to connect conquest.
And speaking of that, watch this, because much of what you're saying, the brothers and the sisters listening, it may be a little foreign to them, being that we all over in Europe. So let's hold on. So let's try this on right here, family. How about this right here? Expansion. Let's try this right here. What Brother Abdullah was just expressing happened here in the 18th and 19th century. It was called the Western Expansion, or you may know it as this right here. Watch this. Watch this.
There you go.
You may know it as Manifest Destiny. This is Western expansion. The Europeans said that their God said they can expand and take over and conquest. And see, you may have been taught about the Western expansion. This is after, I think, the 1845, 1849, the Great Gold Rush. That's why they came here in the first place, family. They came for gold. Christopher Columbus actually came here in 1489 with one scout ship. And on that scout ship, Christopher Columbus had a man by the name of Ponce de Leon on board with him. Go look it up. Now, what happens is very intricate, because Christopher Columbus never made it all the way back to Spain. He made it back to about far as the Canary Islands, and sent word back to Queen Elizabeth and Ferdinand that, matter of fact, he sent a gold bangle back, they say. It was a gold bangle given to him by one of the Arawak natives. And on his letter with that piece of gold, he was telling how vulnerable these people were. They had no weapons. They had no way to defend themselves. Christopher Columbus said they looked much like the Ethiopians. Christopher Columbus then was granted 3 ships. And those 3 ships are taught in middle school, maybe elementary, as the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And on them 3 ships, guess who came back on those ships? Ponce de Leon. But now Ponce de Leon, under the same articles that the brother just said, the Intercaterra Cavina, under the article called Dem Versi. Dem Versi was another papal bull. And if you don't know what a papal bull is, family, please look it up. I implore you to look up papal bull. The papal bull was issued in 1452. Okay, now we ain't even got that far to 1490 nothing. Let's go to 1452. This papal bull that was issued by Pope Nicholas V, it authorized Alfonso V of Portugal to conquer the Saracens. Who are the Saracens? The Saracens were the Moors. The Saracens was a term used by European Christians during the Middle Age to refer to Muslims, usually Arabs, Turks, or Iranians. The terms meaning evolved during the history and its usage. The early centuries of Christianity, both Greeks and Latin, used the word Sacrians. That's what a Moor was called, a Sacrian. We're talking about a holy war. We're talking about the Christians, but what group of Christians are we talking about? Let's talk about all of it. We're talking about the Roman Catholic Church. That's why you heard the brother say Pope so and so did so and so. Why would the Pope say anything? And why would the Pope have anything to do with a holy war? Well, you have to understand that the Sultan, his name was Muhammad II, or Muhammad the Conqueror. He was the cause of the fall of the great Roman Empire. So this was his payback to the
Of the
Moors.
Ottoman Empire, of the Osman house. Yeah.
Okay, so Muhammad II, being of the Ottoman Empire, he was the one who he asked for the head, and they chopped off the head of the current Caesar. That's why in the Moorish literature it asks you who took the head off of Satan, and they say Muhammad. When? 14 what?
53.
Byzantine, and there was the Byzantine Empire, Islam, right? So we have to understand and put the whole thing together. This been going on for a long time, family. A long time. Dem Versi was issued in 1452. We haven't even got to 1489, 91. We haven't even got to the Indica. This sets up the Indica Terra Cavina.
Yes.
This sets this up. This what gives birth to the Indica Terra Cavina, which happened in 1456. You see what I'm saying? And we have not got yet to 1491. See, when we talk about history, we got to put people in time and space, when it happened and where it happened. And we have to go on a timeline and be able to walk you through the history. So that way it makes sense. So that way when people ask themselves, well, how did these great so-called black people have all this power? How did we lose our power? What happened? Well, we're going to walk you through it.
Right.
This was all done under religious, this was all that was called Christendom. I'm going to say this piece, I'm going to pass the mic. This was done under what's called Christendom, not Christianity. Now, Christendom was people like Alexander when he came into ancient Eucupta. This was for stuff like Constantine. All right. We're talking about before these Romans became Christians, who gave them the Christian ideology of Christianity. We got to go back to people like what's his name? Ptolemy. Ptolemy 1 Lygi. Ptolemy 2 Philadelphia. Ptolemy 3 Soter. Okay. We have to go back and deal with when they came into ancient Eucupta and they took the universal law. They stole the universal law. Now I'm going back to the beginning of this conversation about 20 minutes ago. They took the universal principles of Mayat, and they began to operate under this is Rome, or Greco-Rome time, the Greco-Romans, right? Then you get the Byzantine Empire. Then you get to understand that the Byzantine Empire was always protected by these Ostrogoths, these Visigoths, these Vandals, and these Ostrogoths and these Vandals become the same Germans who populated places like Portugal and Spain. Then you can understand the different houses, like the good brother said earlier, the House of Castile, the House of Aragon. Then you can understand the ecclesiastical titles that they had, like Duke, Squire, Earl, and what these titles meant. Ales and bays. Why it's so important to understand these titles of nobility. Islam? So I'm going to yield the floor. And let's continue on teaching people how these manuscripts, how these papal bulls were the ultimate undoing of the Moorish Empire.
Well, the Pope has, what has happened, you have the seer and the emperor of Rome has merged into one title, Pope. That Pope is both the Roman emperor as well as the seer. It was collapsed into one. So you see the Galactic Cross, the Black Panther does. All right. The Confederate flag. All right. That's the cross keys of Chaldea. Cross keys of Chaldea. So we're going back ancient. So we have the mitre. The mitre in the shape of the fish. And the fish goes back to the Dogon. The Dogons charted series A, B, and C. The white title. The white title goes back to Upper Egypt. That's the head jet. The head jet, the white title, the white crown. White and white title and white crown ties to the head jet of Upper Egypt. The red crown is the crown of Lower Egypt, the Deseret. The blue crown is the Keperet, which is the war crown. So the colors red, white, and blue tied to series, as I said, the Dogons charted series A, B, and C. So it ties to series as series flickers as red, white, and blue. Those are our colors. But we don't know anything. That's why we have to do these classes. Michael?
Oh man. Professor, I'm gonna give you your kudos, right from the gate. Everyone, I concur everything, and listen, one thing about, Professor, in this whole movement is that, everything has to be source oriented. In other words, everything has to have a reference point, and where everything can be pretty much fact finding. We're not parroting or coming from a standpoint of he said, she said. This is all all stuff that can be researched and that can be verified. So I just like to let the professor go ahead and talk, and pretty much I'll just be piggybacking on a lot of things that he said, because he's well versed in this stuff.
Yes.
And
I want you to elaborate on some treaty. When we get into the treaty discussion, we're gonna want you to do your thing.
Okay. Yeah, right. So
we're building to that. We're building to
right. So that's pretty much what it is. But everything, and brother Tahak had mentioned, it's very important, saying that we put things in its proper perspective based on space and time. Because if you don't have a chronological order time frame of what took place, you're gonna miss the bus. So it's very important that you take notes and and really pay attention to detail, because as a professor was going into the Esoteric arena, Brother Tahaka had mentioned things and events that took place before that.
Brother Ponder.
Oh,
it's
sorry. Brother Ponder. Forgive me. I apologize. So like I said, just really pay attention, so that you can really get all the information and intel in detail, so that you can see what led up to these current events that we are currently facing. So therefore, you can overstand the status quo.
Islam. So listen, we're about an hour in. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Give me 1 second, Fountain. We got a couple people watching now, so I can tap in on this right here. October 7th through the 9th in Atlanta.
Yes.
The Knowledge Enlightenment Seminar. This is not a retreat. This is a college. For 3 days, I'm going to curate an institution of learning. Live lectures, workshops, one-on-one teaching sessions. That means you get to sit with me, the good brothers you see right here, and talk flesh to flesh for 3 days. We only on here for about an hour or so, and then we gone. Y'all got to wait for us to come back on here. Well, 3 days, live lecture. We got a Reiki massage therapy. We got stone and copper workshop. 6 keynote speakers. We're dealing with some heavy science. We're giving out remedies, information. This is an information seminar in Atlanta. Now, just in case you're interested, and I haven't, and those of you who have emailed me, I got your emails. I'm working on stuff on the back end to make sure I get you guys right. I promise you, by the end of the weekend, I'll be emailing you guys with the link to go ahead and pay your deposit and come check us out. email me, the MOI podcast at gmail.com. Shoot me a quick email and say, hey, Minister, I'm interested in the event. Now, here's the cool thing. It's only going to set 20 people. Only 20 people. I got about 12 people already in my inbox ready to buy tickets, family. So that means space is limited. It's right here in Atlanta. So if you're in Atlanta, near Atlanta, you get to Atlanta. Why Atlanta? I was telling somebody the other day, Atlanta actually has a crystal under the city. All cities are geographically laid out because of the energy under the city. Those are energy centers. That's why the most chaos happens inside the cities. The frequencies are scrambled. All right. So right here in Atlanta, now, we're not going to be in the city of Atlanta, so don't worry about that. We're going to be out a little bit, so you can put your feet in the grass and really get grounded. So October 7th through the 9th, check me out. People are already interested. People are talking about it. I'm excited about it. I got some real cool people helping me out with it. And for those of y'all who just tuning in for this evening, we're talking about black codes. We're talking about laws. We're talking about a little bit of civics. We're going into some history. So if you're just tuning in, get out your pen and your paper, and let's get back to it.
All right. So just like I said, we want to bring this. We wanted to give a foundation to the black code. So you mentioned black code. So let me dive into that. Once again, we have to place it in a broader historical perspective. The black codes is an extension of the Inquisition against the Moors. We got to tie that. You know what I'm saying? We have to analyze it in the terms of conquest and the collapse, dismemberment, extinction, disintegration of our Moroccan Empire. I must do that. Other than that, it's just data. We must understand that our empire has been dismembered. Our mother lay in the hospital. Spain, France, Portugal, England / Great Britain, Sweden, the Netherlands, the Dutch Republic have our mother in the hospital. I mean, conquest. We must go to the hospital, England. I mean, we must address England, Spain, Portugal, France, Sweden, Great Britain. United States is an extension of Great Britain by treaty. United States is an extension. So if I'm saying Great Britain, I'm saying United States. As United States is an extension of Great Britain. We're talking conquest, subjugation of the people, the denationalization, culture genocide, colonization of Moorish land. So the black codes is an extension of the Inquisition against the Moors. In 1563, Philip II of the Habsburg House, Philip II is the great-great-grandson of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. Their son, Charles V, their son. His son, Philip II. His grandson, Charles V grandson, and the great-grandson of King Isabella and Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand. Their great-great-grandson, Philip II. So I'm making the connection, y'all. Philip II, in 1563, issued the Inquisition against the Moors, which is in a violation of the Treaty of Granada. The Inquisition against the Moors is the violation of the Treaty of Granada of November 25th, 1491. That violated the Treaty of Granada. In the Treaty of Granada, it preserves the Moors' personal rights. So though it changed the sovereignty over to the hands of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, it, however, preserved Moors' personal rights in that treaty. So when what happened was in 1563, here's the slick thing. Philip II brought Moors under subjugation by classifying Moors as Spanish. So by Moors being classified by Spanish as Spanish, the Treaty of Granada no longer applied. See? Why did Philip II classify? That is an act of mass denationalization. By classifying the Moors as Spanish, it removed the treaty protection of Granada because it don't say Spanish. Moors, personal rights are protected, not Spanish. Moors' personal rights. So we're making the connection. I'm making the connection, tying up the treaty now, tying up the treaty and how the importance of the legal status and treaty protection. But I'm bringing it back though. So the first act of mass denationalization was done by Spain under Philip II, 1563. Not only did he subjugate the Moors under Spanish rule by classifying the Moors as Spanish, he forbade us from wearing our Moorish headdresses, our turban and feathers. He forbade us to speak our language, Arabic. The children were taken away from us and taught by the priesthood. They were taught Latin, forced Latin, my bad. I'm gonna use the word forced, not taught. Latin was forced on us. I'm gonna say it again. They took the children, we're speaking Arabic, They took the children, our children from us, and they were taught by the priesthood, placed in orphanages, and forced Latin onto them. 600 manuscripts, 600,000 manuscripts in the Library of Cordoba, the world-renowned library. The world-renowned people from all over the world came to Cordoba. 700s, 800s, 900s. It flourished. Manuscripts written in Arabic. There's a society, I'm providing evidence. I got my receipts, y'all. There is a society, a preservation society called the Society of Timbuktu. That's a preservation society. There are several thousand books that were reserved by individual clans, kinfolks. Over a period of 500 years, these books were preserved in private libraries, kept hidden. And that today, the Society of Timbuktu, a preservation society, most of the books written in Arabic, books on medicine, Quran, written in Arabic, geometry, astronomy, written in Arabic. There's a Brittany Hughes. There's a show on YouTube, how Moors ruled Europe, documentary by the English historian Brittany Hughes. She is interviewing a scholar who has a private library. The ceiling is about 30 feet high. And she brings out this medical book, 11 by 17. Medical book, 11 by 17, written in Arabic. So what happened was Oxford University translated Arabic text to Latin. Medical books, medical treatises, botany, herbology, astronomy, geometry, calculus, written in Arabic. translated into Latin. That is part of the Inquisition against the Moors. So the Black Codes is an extension of the Inquisition against the Moors. We got to make this linear connection. Very important. Not to analyze, not to isolate the Black Codes into just state of South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. It's doing a disservice. You must connect the history, a linear history. It's a continuation of these wars of bringing the Moroccan Empire to her knees. That's called the dismemberment, collapse, extension of a state, and the subjugation of a people, and the mass denationalization of a people, and the conquest and colonization of Moorish land. So they're maintaining it. All right. On that, I'll yield.
So now, hey, I appreciate it, bro. Damn, you was going in on that one right there. You was going in. Shit. I was listening, and I was learning. You said a lot. I want to point out a couple of things to listen to the audience also, because when we talk about the defeat of the Moors
Here you go.
in,
My man.
you made it on. Oh, yeah. When we talk about the defeat of the Moors in Europe, we have to really have people understand why that was so important. And there's a saying that says, "Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven." And I want the listening audience to understand that 7-Eleven was a time that these Berbers, because we have to understand Moors was something that they were called, not necessarily who they were. Islam. The term Moor was an exonym. And we have to understand what an exonym is. There's an anonym and there's an exonym, right? I want everybody to stay with me now. Stay with me. An exonym is a name for a place or a group of people that is only used outside of that place or group. That's what an exonym is. So now we're talking about the term Moor is an exonym that was first used by Christians, Europeans to designate the Muslims, or what they call the Muslims, or what they call the Mohammedans, those who are the follower of Muhammad. Okay, these Mohammedans or these Berbers inhabited Maghreb, the Iberian Peninsula, Sicily, and Malta. Malta becomes intricate because the Moorish stronghold fell at Malta. And that's when you get the Knights of Malta. That's when they were crowned, and that's when they were knighted at the end of that battle with the conclusion of this sect of Moors at Malta.
Mm-hmm.
It says during the Middle Ages. So we have to understand who the Moors are, who they were. 7-Eleven, a group of North African Muslims led by Berber General Tariq ibn Zayed, captured the Iberian Peninsula, modern-day Spain and Portugal. And when they went into modern-day Spain and Portugal, back then, watch this. They brought spas and bathhouses into that's not what I want. They brought spas and bathhouses into Europe because Europeans didn't bathe. The Moors literally civilized the Europeans. The Moors brought in things like medicine. Watch this. Moors came through Europe after a time of what was called the Black Plague or the bubonic plague. These Europeans were sick, downtrodden. If you think And not to make light of COVID, but if you think COVID was something, this was the bubonic plague. This was basically the result of Europeans laying down with animals, keeping animals in the same house with them. This is the result. Disease ridden. Until the Moors came into that particular area, civilized them, gave them medicine. This is why the Moors are so revered throughout ancient history, because of what they did. So the Moors first conquered the land that we call Europe today. And with a combination of these tribes right here, because you got to understand, Europeans had tribes too, family.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the tribes of Europe. The Visigoths had their own kingdom. The Ostrogoths, the Vandals. And if you're not familiar, see, this is why I love Dr. John Henry Clark. May he rest in power. Dr. John Henry Clark said, if you wanted to understand our history, you first got to study European history. And this was the first thing that I studied. I mean, was European. I didn't go into Africa. It was nothing in Africa that wasn't going to be there when I got there. So I didn't want to start with Africa. The ancestors in Africa built the pyramids and went to sleep, and they're still there. So what Dr. John Henry Clark said, study European history. And by studying European history, when the good brother starts to mention places, people like the House of Castile and the House of Aragon and various other houses, the House of Burgess come up later. And the House of Burgess was one of the founding houses that gave rise to the settlement at Plymouth Rock later. These were barons, Lombards, capitalists. You see? And the reason that the Crusades kicks off, all right, in 1096 is due to the fact that a man by the name of Solomon Bar Isaac wanted to control what was called then the Holy Land. And he sent 3 of his baron armies. This is before the Knight Templars. He sent, watch this, Walter the Penniless. Look these people up. He sent Walter the Penniless. He also sent Godfrey of the Bullion. He also sent Peter the Hermit. Y'all got to notice this is history. And these 3 individuals had a band of men, and sometimes they rode 2 to a horse. And because they were sent out on a holy pilgrimage or a holy assignment, they called themselves I think it was followers. They called themselves the poor followers of Christ. But watch this. The Knight Templars became the poor followers of Christ. How they started. They were defending what was called then Christendom. Because see, Mohammedanism under the Ottoman Empire, Mohammedanism was spreading into Europe. And don't think for a second that this has anything to do with, I'll say, race. Don't think for a second that this has anything to do with skin color. This conquering mechanism, these orders have been in place for a very, very long time, family. And what we're talking about is just a portion of the latter part of the battles and the conquests and the different papal bulls and different edicts and different mandates and different statutes and different ordinances that have been applied to people. We are in Europe, but what the hell they got to do with America? Because y'all with us, we haven't came to America yet. We're still in Europe. These Europeans brought the ideology of what we have today. See, in Europe, you had what was called the Manor, which was a territory. And the Manor was oversaw by what was called a lord. He was called the Lord of the Manor. Now the Lord
or mayor or mayor.
or mayor, hold on, watch this now. Now the Lord over the manor had a certain group of what he called
Yeah.
serfs, and the
Mhm.
serfs never left the manor. They couldn't. They were bound by duty to always maintain the manor. In case they got out of line, they assigned a knight, what later becomes what we call a sheriff, because the manor is a county. The manor is a conquered piece of land that's
Mhm.
owned by the Lord.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now the Lord becomes what we call a landlord. Now coming to America, that same principle is established. So a state is a manor. The citizens inside the state are serfs. You ever met somebody from Georgia never left Georgia in their life? You
You
ever met
talking
somebody?
status?
You ever,
Big
you
ol'
ever met
status.
you ever met people from a place, a state, and a state is a nation. Don't get it twisted. A state is a nation, nation is a state. That's synonymous in one. One nation or one state under God, governmental ordinance department, they said, right? So the corporation now says, now that we have a state or a manor established, we're going to appoint a governor. Now the governor is the Lord of the manor. And the Lord of the governor of the state of the manor, he issues out lower certificates or what they call pieces of paper, documentation. And these documentations are issued to establish what's called cities, counties. Now, the counties is a smaller part of the manor, and with inside the county, you have cities inside of the county. Now, north you have boroughs. Sometimes you have what's called a parish. It depends
Mhm.
on what monarch controlled that territory. Now in Louisiana, it's called a parish because
France, because of France.
France,
France.
come on now,
Mm. France.
France had that part, and Spain had that part as well. Britain only
Yes.
had a piece. They only had the
Yes.
colonies. See, when Britain had the colonies,
Yeah.
family,
True.
Spain and Portugal already done sent people over here already. Hell, by the time the colonists got to the colonies, Ponce de Leon had already signed up St. Augustine in Florida. Florida was never part of the 13 colonies. Other than that, it would have been 14 colonies. They stopped
Right.
at
Right.
Georgia under James Oglethorpe. Okay, so James Oglethorpe put together his charter, and that, and now they're able. Britain, Europe. That's why it was called the Great Race to discover the New World. This is an old world to our ancestors. We've been here. We've been here. It's an old world. It's a new world to them because the Europeans thought the world was flat. They didn't go too far. So when they came to the new world, they came under conquest, but it came under documentation and decrees. And they came picking plots of land. Now this continued. Watch this now. This continued. Because what I'm trying to do is tie in what the brother is saying about Europeans taking the land under what's called the Indica Terra Covina, Dim Versi. We haven't even
I
got to
mean,
the
my
Treaty of
man.
Paris yet. The
My
Treaty of
man.
Paris also breaks down who got what allotment of his territory under the crown of the king and under the Pope. See, when you say the Moorish Empire, an empire is whew, an empire is vast, y'all. An empire is able to go into what's called realms, different realms. Norway, Sweden, Scotland, they still call their territory realms. See, the Moorish Empire had Portugal and Spain, but it also had lands to the east, I'm sorry, to the west. And those lands were on the islands we call North, Central, South America. This is their territory. But once the Moorish Empire fell, they were subjugated to a class that they could not handle their own affairs. So a governmental structure, House of Castile, House of Oregon, had to become the custodians over that territory. Now let's bring it to America. Because you think you Negro, black, and colored, and you operate under these principles, some foreigners who are over here from those same territories, Germany, the people who are here, the Europeans who are here, you know how they got here. They came over here on a pilgrimage, and we're talking about the Puritans. Okay, we're talking about the Brownists. We're talking about all of these individuals under religious pretense who came to another territory on their pilgrimage. If you follow what I'm saying. Now, they have a nationality. They show up on our front porch as Spaniards, as Portuguese, as Britons, so on and so forth. These people who are already here don't know what to call themselves. So they give you a exonym of black, Negro, colored, African American. And because you're operating under those fictitious pretense, they're able to do business for you because you're feeble minded. You're declared to be incompetent. So all of this vast estate that we're calling North America belongs to you. You are the heirs of that estate. So, Brother Abdullah, I want you to talk about estate, allodial, and a little bit of the history of America when it comes to the documentation that our people begin to fail to realize that they're not Negro, black, and color, and what happens to them because they operate under those names.
All right, let me address the audio. You have conscious Moors who draft a quote unquote, and I'm saying quote unquote, they draft a quote unquote allodial titles, so they think they are doing that, without addressing what we're addressing today. What we're addressing today is very important because you got to understand, you have these various Spain and Portugal and England, and you have these various what they call land and boundary cession treaties and surveys of Moorish land. So if you're talking allodial title, you must address conquest because they're operating on these treaties. 1763, the Treaty of Paris between France and Great Britain. France ceded a large portion of Moorish land to Great Britain in 1763. That includes Canada, the Northwest Territory. And then in the Treaty of 1762, the Treaty of Fontainebleau, by agreement by Great Britain, France ceded Louisiana to Spain. When there were French subjects never left there. So you got these treaties, these European land boundary treaties and survey maps that are on record. This is how they're operating. So here you are, an individual Moor, not organized, have not restored, recovery the lost Moorish sovereignty, have not brought our mother out of the hospital, out of a prolonged state of extinction, dismemberment. And here you are, an individual Moor, they're going to place a quote unquote, as you say, a allodial title. This is why we're having this history. We must understand what's going on. We have to address this. You, an individual Moor, not addressing this, it ain't gonna work. This is what's in play. This is what's in play. You got these land cessions. We have to counterclaim. As a government, as a governing body, counterclaim. Not in United States courts. United States has nothing to do with. Nothing to do with colonization. It was already done before United States was established. Let me say it again. United States has nothing to do with colonization. Let me explain. I said a claim. I'm gonna support it. I'm not gonna lose y'all. I got y'all. All right. United States did not establish the royal colony, the royal colonies, proprietary colonies. United States did not establish the proprietary colony of Pennsylvania. United States was not established then. I'm explaining what I'm saying. I said I made a claim. United States has nothing to do with colonization. That's my claim. I'm going to support it. Let's look at Great Britain. Let's look at Great Britain. You got these 13, you got royal colonies, proprietary colonies, and company colonies. United States has nothing to do with that. United States had nothing to do with the colony of Georgia, or setting up the colony of Georgia, the colony of Pennsylvania, the colony of South Carolina, the colony of Rhode Island, the colony of New Jersey, the colony of New York. United States has nothing to do with that because it wasn't established. What the 1763 Treaty of Paris is the definitive peace treaty between Great Britain and United States, 1783. Great Britain acknowledges the United States as free, sovereign, and independent. United States, Great Britain acknowledges the United States viz. All 13 states. And in the land boundaries and survey was already done. East Jersey, West Jersey. Pull up East Jersey, West Jersey survey maps. United States has nothing to do with the survey maps of East Jersey and West Jersey. New Jersey state has nothing to do with the development of the survey maps of East Jersey and North Jersey. They are now in the repository. They did not survey that. So New Jersey state, New York state, South Carolina state, Georgia state. Those surveys and land boundaries are in the charters. So Georgia state is now operating on the boundaries of Okafor, 1760 of Georgia, 1732. So when I made a claim, and I'm explaining what I mean, the United States has nothing to do with colonization. It was already put in place. The Treaty of Paris between Great Britain and the United States, 1783, allowed the British subjects who fought against their mother to go back into the British Dominion and operate. And then now operating on the same boundary markers and survey maps done by Great Britain.
Damn.
That's what I mean.
Damn. Damn.
That's why this history is important. We're tying this to status. It ties to status.
Wow. Hey, shouts out to the good brother L over here. He said it's the visuals that help. Listen, as the brother is going through the information, I'm doing my best to definitely show
You're doing a
y'all
great job, my brother.
of what he's talking about. And as he's talking, I'm thinking, and I can't put the information in the Google search quick enough to illustrate and show y'all what he's saying. We're talking about the Treaty of Paris that divided up the lands. Now, I just told y'all about counties and different municipalities. Now, watch this now. He explained it on a bigger scale to where the bigger land, see what you got to, let me slow down now. The same dirt that's right here in Georgia, it's the same dirt that's in Alabama. It's the same dirt. The same dirt that's all one big pile of dirt, y'all. That's the same pile of dirt. What y'all are used to seeing what's called demarcation lines. The demarcation lines are not real. There are no white lines on any map in the world. This is all the same dirt. And the point I'm making is, if we make a claim to the dirt in Georgia, we can make a claim to the dirt in Mississippi. We can make a claim to the dirt all the way throughout to California, all the way up to Canada. It's the same dirt all the way down to Mexico, Central America. So this is all the same piece of dirt. Little pieces broke off here and there, but it's the same piece of dirt, y'all. Look at that. Without the demarcation lines, what we're saying is the Treaty of Paris divided up territories amongst the English conquerors. You have to call them what they are. This was conquest.
Yeah, it's ceded from France
But
to Great Britain.
but
17, talking about 1763. Which Treaty of Paris? 1763 or 1780? There's six of them. 17.
1783
Oh, that's all right. Well, that
ended
was
the war.
already put in place because that allowed the United States to operate in the British Dominion.
Right,
That had already been done.
right. In 63, you're right. But I
And
want
then
to
also extending
I want to
the Northwest Territory. So the Northwest Territory, which was controlled by France from late 1500s up until 1763 when it was ceded to Great Britain.
and I want the family to know that he's talking about Canada. In case you had any
Canada, and also Canada,
right,
and then come
right.
on in down. Ohio, Minnesota, Indiana, the what's called the Big Five, what they call the Ohio, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, and Illinois.
Right.
Illinois.
Now I want to insert that the family should understand if that was a wow moment for you just now. Understand that people like Lois and Clark made an expedition to that territory to survey that territory. All right, Lois and Clark, look them up. Um, what I want to deal with real quick was, I think I went past it. I gotta go back to it now. Is right here the Treaty of Paris of 1763 ended the French and Indian War. 7 years war between Great Britain and France, as well as their prospective allies. I want to bring your attention to something else because I want to stay in tangent with the truth. Not saying we have not been telling the truth, but I want you to understand the people who've been here.
Yes.
Here in America, that was called the 100-year Indian War.
That's right.
The 100-year Indian War. And if we're talking about the 100-year Indian War, we can't. The same holy knights and warriors who were fighting the ancestors over in Europe were the same ones who came over here to fight your ancestors over here. This was a global extinction. Extinction. There was a global removal of any indication that you had rule anywhere on earth. It had to be a total removal, not just in Europe, but because you ruled everywhere, they had to erase any indication that you ruled everywhere. And one of those indications was right here. It's called the American Indian War. This is in America. They got 1780. It started in 1609. And it goes back further than that. And I'm bringing up the Indian Wars because we're seeing maps when France was here. We're seeing maps when Great Britain was here. We're seeing maps when Spain was here. There were people already here before they got here. The conquest of our ancestors in the North American territory was an extension of the Holy Wars. It was an extension of the Holy Wars over to these lands. So I don't want you to differentiate the Holy Wars of 1096, 1191. I don't want you to hold those any different when we talk about the Holy Wars on these individuals over here in North America. The first war being the War of Beaver Run. The last stronghold of these 100-year Indian Wars here in North America territory ended with this chief right here. This was the Indian chief. Indian chief Nat Turner fought the last skirmish of the 100-year Indian War. You have to understand that. This wasn't just another black rebellion, another slave rebellion. The Honorable Nat Turner was the last Indian chief of the Natchez tribe in Suffolk, Virginia. The so-called Europeans had encroached on our territory, on our land, under religious mandate. Paperwork like the Interterricavina, Demversi, and multiple treaties or contracts had been signed into place with the ancestors. What the ancestors couldn't understand is, how is it that these so-called white people can show up to the shores of Virginia and kill everything in sight in 1619? How can they kill everything in sight in 1696? How can they tell us in 1669 that there's something called the Black Codes? How can they tell us in 17 anything? How are they able to come over here with such malice and kill us? Well, these same Europeans in the 1700s and the 1600s was operating under the Interterricavina. They were operating under Demversi. Demversi that was issued by Pope Nicholas, it said anybody that will not convert to Christianity, you have the right to take their life. You have the right to take their life. They were declared to be unfit and unholy for the kingdom of God.
Inquisition.
For the kingdom of God. And the Pope sent his holy army, or what's called the army of God. Look it up. The army of God came and they conquered these lands. But anyway, back to Nat Turner. Nat Turner was the last Indian chief of the Natchez tribe. His skirmish marked the end, officially, of the so-called 100-year Indian War. This was not just a regular feudal uprising of cotton-picking niggas. These were so-called Native American indigenous people, Moors, let's call them what they are, who were already here in these lands. Look it up. But I wanted to point the listening audience attention to the fact that when we talk about Moors of Spain, because a lot of our people, brother, don't really understand um, that side of history, because we're not really taught that side of history when it comes to European history. We only know a small amount of history. So when we throw at them the fact that the Interterricavina and any other document that you might have not known of tonight, when those documents came out, the Europeans began to operate, and still do
Still
operate,
do.
under
Still do.
those what's called an edict. This was an
Yep.
edict that was given down by the Pope of the
Yep.
Papists. And because Europeans believe in Christendom, and Christendom began with Constantine. When Constantine said he saw that cross in the sky, that was the beginning of Christendom. The conquest under the auspice of religion. Nothing to do with religion. Christendom has nothing to do with religion. Christendom is an excuse. It's a reason. It's a it's a it's the Pope. The Pope is the vicar of Christ. The Pope is Christ. Watch this. I'm gonna show you something. I'm pass the mic. The Pope is the vicar of Christ. The Pope, with reference to his claim to stand in the place of Jesus Christ and possess his authority in the church.
Cross keys of Chaldea.
The Pope says, go and kill everything in Africa, go kill everything in North and Central South America.
Like the cross.
The Crusades of Central and South America wasn't even enough. They had to send a special elite group called the Conquistadors. The Conquistadors didn't play no games. They weren't trying to hear that shit. The Conquistadors chopped everything within sight. And if you look up the Conquistadors, you look up Spain, Portugal, any of these entities were at the authority of the Catholic Church, or to an individual that sat in the seat as the vicar of Christ. Read that again. The Pope, with reference to his claim to stand in the place of Jesus Christ and possesses his authority in the church. Let me show you what the church is.
Cross keys of Chaldea.
This is the church. This symbol right here. Earth
Break it
symbol.
down, bro. Break it down.
This is the
Break it
church,
down.
family.
Break
Because
it down, bro.
the fact
Break
that
it
the
down.
Pope he has the ecclesiastical seat over the dominion of earth. And because he issued a ecclesiastical decree conquering everything with this symbol, under this symbol, he stands in place of Jesus Christ. He's not the real Jesus Christ. We know who the real Jesus Christ is. This is the same symbolism that happens in America with the so-called Negro. Somebody is standing in your seat. Somebody is standing in your place.
Coptic cross.
The Pope stands in the place as the ecclesiastical authority over the dominion of earth. And these are the cross keys. And honors to Brother Tariq for breaking this information down in this lecture called Slaying the Dragon. But I'm going to show you something even better. Let me show you the symbol the Pope uses. The symbol he used.
But we don't want to slay the dragon, brother.
No, we're not going to slay the dragon. But the
No,
people
I'm the dragon, bro. You don't want to slay me, bro. Please don't slay me. I'm the dragon. No, that's the Kundalini energy. We don't want to slay the dragon, bro. No.
Islam.
I don't want to slay the dragon. I want to speak up to those who are listening. Do not.
Figuratively, I want you to understand.
Do not want to slay the dragon.
What the symbology is. We're gonna deal with. Go ahead, brother.
And it's also, brother. It's also the Coptic cross, and it's also a representation of the 4 cardinal points.
For
dealing
sure.
Dealing with the space and time, as it always comes within Earth measure, the seasons of time. Those are marking the cardinal points.
Yes.
For sure. The point I'm making is the symbology that the Pope is the ruler of the earth. Under these decrees, under this authority, he's able to issue these decrees.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Yeah, I was just talking about the slaying of the dragon, because the dragon is the Kundalini energy. The snake, the dragon, that's the Kundalini energy. So whoever said that, whatever show you were listening to, and whatever that topic was, that topic is distorted. That's
well, look, brother. I'm
just saying it's a distorted topic because that we got to reclaim our culture.
I'm gonna have to be a defendant to your prosecution on that one.
All right, because the dragon. All right,
Come on, no, go.
The snake, the Leviathan, the dragon, the cobra, tied to the Kundalini energy. The Christ, which is the karas. The karas is the oil.
Come on, let's go.
That's seated in the pineal gland.
Yep.
The sunlight, which is a source of energy, stimulates the serotonin and melatonin in the brain. You have what's called neuromelanin.
Come on now.
Now, the seat of Christ has fallen, or the lower self. You wear the apron. You wear your apron, all right, because you are a neophyte, and you are learning in the 30 years of the mystery schools how to elevate or to activate that Christ, or the seat of Christ. So the Kundalini energy, or the oil that's secreted in the brain. Now we got to get that oil rising up like a snake along the spinal cord. to reactivate the Christ. So this is the seat of Christ, the pineal gland. So dragon relates to what I'm saying. So you don't want to slay the dragon. That's whoever said that. I don't want to get into the name of the person. All right, I want to get into the name. All
and
right,
just to validate that in which you just expressed, why do you think that they put the thorns around the quote unquote Jesus Christ to crush the pineal, to deactivate that Christ, you know, saying that energy, that frequency, that's very essential to our sustenance. That and it all happens within cycles, as I mentioned before, early in the topic, in the very beginning of our exchange. When you're dealing with the body, the only thing that the Pope is doing is they're staying in harmony with nature. That's the main reason and vital reason how they're able to rule and control. They disconnected that from us. But yet there's only one way. There's only one way to government. There's only one way to survival, and that's to be in perfect peace and harmony with nature. But in order to bring the Moors down, as you guys said so eloquently, they had to disconnect that from us. And now you brothers, we are bringing that back, this ancient knowledge back.
So what Mike is talking about is the crown, the 12 thorns. The 12 thorns are the 12 cranial nerves. It's all about anatomy. The Bible is an anatomy and physiology book. So, all right, I'm studying physiology and Abdullah, you got a Bible. You
and
said
based
that's
on astrological rotation.
Right. So you're looking at this, a lot of study of anatomy and physiology that's encoded in the Bible. So the 12 cranial nerves. So when they place the thorns of crown thorns on his head, that's symbolic of the 12 cranial nerves. So you're looking at, when you're reading, you understand how to decode. So we're looking at physiology and anatomy, heavy in physiology and anatomy, because those are lessons to reactivate the Christ. Because the Christ, by reactivating the Christ, or third eye, now we can see again. We're talking about seeing. And that is the Christ is our connection to the unseen world. This is very important.
And if you look at that Christ-like fluid, there's a cycle of time that's associated, okay, that activates within the body that has a direct correlation with the winter and summer solstice. As a professor, you can divulge deeper into that because I don't want to miss anything. I understand the basis and fundamentals of it, but the connection is the Christ energy. I believe it gets refined in the cerebellum before it actually gets disseminated throughout the whole body. Before it goes down back through the spinal column to get disseminated through the solar plexus, cerebellum, it has to be refined for 2.5 days, and on the third day it goes down the spinal column.
Yes.
And now the connection in nature on the winter solstice. This is where the concept of Jesus died and resurrected on the third day, on December 21st.
That picture. Bring that picture back up. That picture. There you go, right there.
Yeah. On December 21st, which is the winter solstice, the sun is at its lowest point in the sky, most suddenly, as they call the most southerly point. And then the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, it starts to elevate. And by the 25th, it's at its highest point, which is the most northerly point in the sky, which represents that's as we know, Christmas Day, or they say when Christ was born.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the connections, how it deals from an astrological standpoint, as well as a
A
natural standpoint.
physiological and an anatomical, physiological
Right.
and anatomy,
Right.
and
Right.
an
Anatomical. Correct.
anatomical.
Well,
Right.
let me ask this question then. In
Mhm.
in the Bible, the dragon is depicted as a quote unquote evil thing or a bad thing in the
All right,
Bible.
that's distortion. That's a distortion. All right, let me explain. All right. That's all right. You said in the Bible it's depicted as that. Let's look at archaeological evidence worldwide. And archaeological evidence worldwide, that means old statues in Vietnam and Mexico, in Egypt. Let's look at the Uraeus, the cobra, anything, the cobra. Let's look at the in the Vietnam and Cambodia. You see, they're sitting on the snake, right? And then there's also protruding from the spine of 7 snakes. That's the fire in the dealing with the dragon, because the dragon and the dragon Leviathan and the cobra are all related. So you have an ancient world. There you go. There you go. You have an ancient world culture. One ancient world culture. So that's a distortion. There is distortions there. Remember, that's modern English. It's a distortion, but I'm giving this. You're supporting my point. You're supporting my point. This is supporting what I'm saying. The images are supporting. This is what I'm talking about.
Regeneration.
Regeneration. Yeah, regeneration, renewal, rebirth, regeneration of life, renewal, rebirth. You have what's called, let me continue. You have the Brahma, Vishnu, Shava. Brahma is Abraham or Abram. Vishnu, which is the creative force in nature. You have the creative force in nature, Brahma or Abraham. Vishnu, the preserving force in nature. You have Shiva, or Shiva, which is the regenerative force. That's your Trinity. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or Shiva. The creative force, the preserving force, and the regenerative force. That's your Trinity. This is world. This is one culture. This is worldwide. They got different names, and based on the languages, that's the Trinity.
Yeah. Right. The misconception amongst the people of India, I believe the Indian culture is that the elephant. People say that people worship and praise the elephant, but they don't have the what's the connection of the elephant for the what's the connection for?
The connection of the elephant. The elephant is used as a symbol because the elephant has a huge frontal lobe. It can store a tremendous amount of memory. Elephant never forgets. So it's representative of the cellular memory, the DNA. So the DNA is a storehouse of knowledge passed down our ancestors. The ancestors are the DNA. That's our ancestors. That's the DNA. Activate our ancestors. That's the cellular memory. That's our ancestors. That's storehouse. Building the pyramids and all that mathematics. That's the storehouse of knowledge. The DNA.
Yes, well, listen, brother. We about to come up on a 2-hour mark.
We're gonna do a part. We do a part 2 where we actually get
we gotta
into
do a part 2, part
yeah,
3.
we're gonna do a part 2. This is good because we needed this. We needed this time to do this because this is we can't rush through this. So we're gonna do a part 2 where we can go right into we'll do a review. We'll do a review to make the connection and go right into.
Listen, and this should be so fun for everyone. Not only educational, but this should be fun. We're showing direct connections of how we as people, we the Moors, okay, we are in harmony with nature. It can only be taught. It can only be mistaught, okay, through social engineering and conditioning to get us away and get us to be, detached from that connection. And this is really all. That is the main reason of our pain and suffering, all our losses and everything that we've endured. But we can get back to it. We just we have to be. But like anything, it's like they say, practice makes perfect. We have to be consistent. And while we got brothers like these, these wonderful brothers here on this platform, listen. Professor invited me. I'm here in a lot of instances, with a lot of the time frames and stuff like that. I'm a student, I'm a student myself. I am versed because I've been under the teachings of Professor for a long time, so I know a lot of stuff. But I'm giving him and Brother Ponder the floor because they invited me. So, but I definitely, implore that everyone just stays consistent. Be patient, be consistent. You'll get all the fruits and more. But you have to just stay the course with us. I thank you, Brother Ponder, for having me. Thank you, Professor, for as well inviting me.
We want to do a part 2, Ponder.
We can probably circle back, and I typically go live on Sundays, so we can see what Sunday look like.
Well, I can't do Sunday because I got Crumb, but I can post it on TV this Sunday, so we can't do this Sunday.
Well, let's circle back on Mars Day on Tuesday then.
Okay.
Is that good for you, Mike?
That'll work for me. I can come.
All right.
Yep. Same time or what?
Same time?
Yeah, we do it at the same time.
All right, Tuesday. All right, y'all. Tuesday live. My Masonic connection, Elkanon, text me, said that was excellent. All right.
So listen, before we get out of here, fellas, hold tight for 1 second. Want to remind y'all again, October 7th through the 9th, tickets are going fast, man. Listen, we're gonna be doing this the whole weekend, though. That's the part about this situation for the seminar. We're gonna be doing what we did for 2 hours tonight for 3 days. Imagine how much information you about to absorb in 3 days of this. An institution, a learning institution. Brother Abdullah Bey is a teacher. He is a professor, an author, and I model myself to be an author at some point. I'm getting a couple of books out too, Brother Abdullah. I promise you. When people hear me speak, they're blown away. But I tell y'all,
you got a lot on your cap, brother.
I tell the brother in all, me being humble, because I was raised around elders with my information, so it sounds a little different than these popcorn people looking up everything. When I speak, because I used to say, and Brother Crom can attest to this, when I started back 7 years ago to this day, I used to say, I have 26,000 years of information. That's what I used to say. I got 26,000 years of information. At any time, I can give you 2,226 years. And they didn't understand that. And I always say, don't believe a word I say. This is after Booker T. Coleman said this. Do your own research. I'm not here to convince or persuade none of y'all. It's information. So the point is, October 7th through the 9th, this is what you're going to be getting the entire weekend plus more, I promise you. All right? Shoot me an email, the M.O.I podcast @gmail.com. Let me know you're interested. I'll get you the information. 20 people can attend this. That's it. 20 seats, all I got room for. Airbnb, we all in the same situation, same crib. We building, we learning, we teaching, we breaking bread together. It's a family affair. We got yoga every morning. All right. We got Reiki workshops, stone and copper workshops, keynote speakers. This is not a retreat, so don't come to relax. Come to learn. Islam. And before I depart this platform, I want to let everybody understand that this is an attempt to remind y'all of the information. Nothing we say here tonight should be new information. We're just here to remind y'all. We reawake y'all. And if tonight wasn't enough, Brother Abdullah Bey, you got some of your books you can present.
Yes, I got 2 of them. On with me right now. Moors of Masonry. You can go to moorsofmasonry.org. Moors of Masonry. You go to moorsofmasonry.org. And I have my Masonic Compass Square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement. I have etymology and vocabulary. Etymology and vocabulary is something that you won. Illuminati, illumination of the mind. And all right. And how moon is rules. So go to moorsofmasonry.org. I'll see y'all on Sunday. Moroccan Post on Crumb TV,
Check 'em out.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday, Moroccan Post on Crumb TV, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back. And Tuesday on the Minister of Information, we'll be back here on Tuesday for part 2 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, y'all.
For sure. Appreciate y'all, brothers. Hold tight backstage for me real quick. All right, people. So if you have enjoyed what you did tonight, what you heard tonight, what you seen tonight, be sure to hop on that Cash App, drop a little donation or monetary deposit. You know, y'all pay $40 million for college. Why not donate for this information tonight? You would never learn this in college. There's no college, no one on the planet you would have got. We got y'all tonight, not in the form we gave it to you. So please feel free to drop a donation. Cash App, Chef JJ, shoot it over. We got people still commenting in here. Thank y'all again, y'all. Islam and peace. Peace and love. We shall continue to teach you out of darkness. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Minister of Information. Email me. I'm not clicking off yet. Email me for this event, man. I'm telling y'all, don't miss out, man. M.O.I. Peace.
From somewhere. Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
Minister of Information.
Minister.
Did you wake me up?
Minister.
Did you wake me up?
Minister.
Why did you wake me up?
The minister.
Wake up.
Minister. Minister of Information. All I'm offering is the truth. The minister.
The minister's.
I want the truth.
The minister.
You can't handle the truth.
M.O.I.
Minister.
Minister.
Without knowledge of self.
Minister. The Minister of Information. M.O.I.
Who taught you to hate yourself?
1,000 ministers.
M.O.I. podcast.